Keir Starmer, a name now synonymous with power with ambition realized. His journey from human rights lawyer to leader of the opposition culminated in a triumphant 2024 election victory. But behind the measured demeanor and carefully crafted public image lies a more complex figure. One forged in the crucible of political maneuvering and marked by shadows of past controversies. This is the story of that journey. Starmer's rise was not preordained. He wasn't born into the aristocracy of British politics, yet his trajectory has been one of steady, calculated ascent. Each step carefully planned, each decision seemingly calibrated for maximum impact. He is a man who understands the intricacies of power, who knows how to play the long game. His time as Director of Public Prosecutions honed his forensic skills, his legal mind dissecting arguments, exposing weaknesses. It was a role that thrust him into the public eye, albeit one that attracted criticism as well as praise. But Starmer, it seemed, thrived under pressure. He relished the challenge. His entry into Parliament in 2015, representing the safe Labour seat of Holborn and St Pancras, marked the beginning of a new chapter. He quickly rose through the ranks, his sharp intellect and measured approach marking him out as a potential future leader. The Labour Party, reeling from successive election defeats, saw in Starmer a beacon of hope, a man who could restore their shattered fortunes. Keir Starmer's story begins not in the corridors of Westminster, but in the leafy suburbs of Surrey. Born into a middle-class family, he enjoyed a privileged upbringing. His father, a toolmaker, and his mother, a nurse, instilled in him a strong work ethic and a belief in social justice. Young Keir Starmer. He attended Reigate Grammar School, excelling academically and displaying an early aptitude for debate and public speaking. It was here that the seeds of his political ambition were sown. He witnessed firsthand the inequalities of British society, the stark contrast between his comfortable upbringing and the struggles faced by those less fortunate. Oxford University beckoned, its hallowed halls welcoming him into the embrace of academia. He studied law at St Edmund Hall, immersing himself in legal theory and honing the skills that would later serve him so well in the courtroom. Oxford, with its traditions and intellectual rigour, shaped Starmer's worldview. It nurtured his ambition, fueling his desire to make a difference. Young Keir Starmer, but it was at Guildhall University as a postgraduate student that Starmer's political awakening truly began. He embraced left-wing politics, joining protests and campaigning for social change. This was Starmer in his element, passionate, articulate, and driven by a deep sense of social justice. These formative experiences would leave an indelible mark, shaping the man who would one day occupy the highest office in the land. Starmer's tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions, while lauded by some, was not without its critics. His decision-making in several high-profile cases drew accusations of political bias, of bowing to pressure from those in power. Political analyst, the prosecution of journalists for publishing leaked information, the decision not to prosecute certain politicians accused of wrongdoing, each controversy chipped away at his carefully constructed image. These controversies followed him into Parliament. His opponents, smelling blood in the water, seized upon them, questioning his judgment, his integrity. Starmer, for his part, remained unflappable, deflecting criticism with his trademark calm and composure. He knew that perception was everything in the cutthroat world of politics. The Beergate affair, as it became known during the COVID-19 pandemic, threatened to derail his leadership bid. Accused of breaking lockdown rules, Starmer found himself on the defensive, forced to fight to clear his name. He emerged from the scandal relatively unscathed, but the experience left its mark. It served as a stark reminder of the fragility of political reputations. These controversies, whether justified or not, revealed a vulnerability in Starmer's carefully constructed persona. They provided ammunition to his enemies, who sought to portray him as a man of ambition, more concerned with his own advancement than with the needs of the people he sought to lead.
Keir Starmer's political journey has been one of constant evolution. From the firebrand activist of his youth to the pragmatic politician of today, he has navigated the treacherous waters of British politics with a shrewdness that belies his relatively short time in Westminster.
His early years in Parliament were marked by a cautious approach. He carefully avoided being pigeonholed, preferring to build consensus rather than courting controversy. This pragmatic streak, while frustrating to some on the left of the Labour Party, was seen by many as a sign of his political maturity. He understood that to achieve power, compromises would have to be made.
The turmoil of the Brexit years provided Starmer with an opportunity to raise his profile. As Shadow Brexit Secretary, he became a prominent voice in the national debate. His forensic dissection of the government's handling of the negotiations earning him plaudits from across the political spectrum. It was during this period that he honed his skills as a communicator, his ability to articulate complex issues in a clear and concise manner proving invaluable.
The COVID-19 pandemic presented Starmer with perhaps his greatest challenge yet. With the country in lockdown and the economy on the brink, he was thrust into the role of leader of the opposition at a time of unprecedented national crisis. He rose to the occasion, holding the government to account while offering constructive criticism and alternative solutions. This period cemented his reputation as a serious and credible leader, one capable of uniting the country in a time of need.
The 2024 general election was fought against a backdrop of economic uncertainty, political turmoil, and a growing sense of public disillusionment. The Conservative Party, battered by years of infighting and scandal, found themselves increasingly out of touch with the electorate. The Labour Party, under Starmer's leadership, sensed an opportunity.
Starmer ran a disciplined and focused campaign, eschewing grand promises in favour of a message of competence and stability. He promised to restore trust in government, to heal the divisions that had plagued British society for too long. His message resonated with voters who were tired of the chaos and division that had come to characterise British politics.
On election night, the results were decisive. Labour secured a comfortable majority in the House of Commons, ending 13 years of Conservative rule. Starmer's victory was seen as a rejection of the politics of division and a vote for change. He had achieved what many thought impossible, uniting the Labour Party and leading them back to power.
Yet his victory speech was a masterpiece of political rhetoric. He spoke of hope, of unity, of a brighter future for all. He promised to be a prime minister for the many, not the few. His words, delivered with his characteristic calm and authority, resonated across the nation. A new era had begun.
Keir Starmer's premiership began with a sense of optimism. He had promised a new kind of politics, one built on consensus and cooperation. He appointed a cabinet of all talents, drawing on experience from across the political spectrum. His early days in office were marked by a flurry of activity as he sought to make good on his campaign promises.
However, the challenges facing him are immense. The economy remains fragile and the NHS is in crisis, and the legacy of Brexit continues to cast a long shadow. Starmer's ability to unite the country and deliver on his ambitious agenda will be tested like never before.
His critics, both within and outside the Labour Party, argue that he lacks the vision and the radicalism to bring about real change. They point to his cautious approach, his willingness to compromise, as evidence that he is more interested in maintaining the status quo than in challenging it.
Only time will tell if Starmer can live up to the expectations that have been placed upon him. He has shown himself to be a shrewd and capable politician, but the true measure of his leadership will be his ability to deliver for the people of Britain. The stakes are high and the world is watching.